Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled Parents. In today's episode, we're having a sixth kid we can't afford, so we expect you to give us your college fund. Update, we're having a sixth kid we can't afford, so we expect you to give us your college fund. Entitled Dad, if you don't want drama at your birthday, I'll make it for you. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. We're having a sixth kid we can't afford, so we expect you to give us your college fund. I am F19, am my parents' second child. I have 3 brothers, 21, 13, and 7, and a sister, 16. We grew up poor and our parents were often dependent on financial help from relatives, friends, etc. for raising us. This is because even though my dad has a mediocre job and my mom doesn't work, they just kept on popping out one kid after another. My parents are very religious and believe that children are a gift from God. Personally, I think that's total BS. My parents' reproductive choices wouldn't bother me if it hadn't caused mine and my siblings' lives to turn to shit while growing up. We never had new clothes or toys. We had to accept handouts from family members who were better off. We never went out or did anything fun. To top it off, we were well aware that the rest of the family looked down on us for constantly asking for handouts. Now, my older brother and I have managed to get into good colleges and are looking forward to a future that would be better than our parents' lives. He and I were staying at our parents' place for a while due to the COVID-19 lockdown. One morning, my parents called all 5 of us into the living room. Mom said she had great news. The smile that was forming on my face died a quick death when she said we're pregnant. I lost my temper. I asked them how they could be so stupid and irresponsible. Do they not have enough financial troubles already that they have to bring in another mouth to feed? My older brother tried to calm me down, but I was livid. After a lifetime of scarcity because of my parents' stupidity, they still hadn't learned their lesson. I asked them how they planned to provide for the kid. My dad told me I would have to give up the money our great uncle had left me. He had left all 5 of us some money which only we could access when we turned 18. I said hell no. That money would help pay for my college expenses. He called me selfish for not being there for family. I told them if they couldn't provide for the kid, they should get an abortion. My mom started crying and called me a heartless monster. Dad told me he was disgusted with me. I told them there was no way I was going to pay for their stupidity, and the only thing I would be willing to pay for is a termination. What I was really worried about was my siblings' lives getting even worse. My older brother and I have escaped our parents' clutches, but the others, especially my younger sister, will be expected to help take care of this baby. No teenager deserves to have their adolescence ruined by diapers. A screaming baby. I know what it's like, as I had to go through that. It was expected of me to be an unpaid nanny to my younger brothers and sister. My older brother could go out with his friends and have fun, but I had to stay home and help give baths and feed the toddlers. I decided to get some family members involved so they could talk some sense into my parents. I called my mom's maternal cousin. She's one of my favorite people. When I told her that mom and dad were having another kid, she reacted with, "What? Again?" I told her everything and how they expected me to hand over my inheritance. She said she was going to speak to my parents and told me not to sign over anything. I promised her I wouldn't. Of course I won't. I also called 2 of my first cousins, one of whom is an accountant, so she could explain to my parents how much of a financial liability this baby is going to be and try to convince them to either abort or give it up for adoption. I moved out of my parents' home a few days ago. I was only going to stay there till the lockdown was relaxed, but I just can't bear to listen to my mom's nagging about how this baby is a blessing and that I want to kill it. I've moved into a friend's basement for a minimal rent. My mom's cousin paid them a visit about a week ago and tried to tell them they weren't doing this child any favors by bringing it into a life of poverty. My mom was very rude to my aunt and told her that a woman who chose to remain barren will never understand a mother's love. My aunt never wanted kids, nor had any, one of the reasons she's my fave. My dad told her to get out. Aunt told me there was nothing she could do, but she did try. I didn't blame her. The cousin tried to explain the economic impact this kid would have, and my mom cried about how everyone was trying to take away her baby. WTF? The intervention didn't do shit, so now I've decided to cut contact with my parents. I just can't watch my family slide further and further into a hellhole. I'll be maintaining contact with my sister, 16, just to make sure my parents can't brainwash her. My older brother is going to stay in touch with all of them, which is a good thing as he can act as a link between me and the other siblings. If my parents ever forbid them from talking to me otherwise, I'm done with these people. I applaud you. You don't owe them your college fund. They made their bed, they can lay in it. You might want to discuss with your siblings about it signing anything over to their parents if uncle left you all some money. My parents can't touch the money. Only my siblings can withdraw it when they turn 18. My sister will be 18 in a year and a half and I've explained to her that she's going to need it for college. Hopefully I was able to convince her. I'm not against people having kids or big families, but your parents are irresponsible. They're hiding behind religion to have children. I hope your college goes well. Be fruitful and multiply too. Seriously, I have said. In this current society, how do you expect families to raise even one children? What happened to your brother? Hopefully he got out of there. He'll be staying there till the lockdown is lifted. I'm glad he's there actually, as he can be my eyes and ears for what's going on over there. Your parents remind me of my cousin. Had 5 kids and lost all of them because she never worked so she could take care of them. There's nothing wrong with wanting or having a lot of kids, but if you can't afford to raise them properly, then at the very least you can try to avoid having them. Update: we're having a 6th kid we can't afford, so we expect you to give us your college fund. Yesterday afternoon, I got a call from my older brother. He told me that my mom has miscarried. This is hardly surprising as she's in her 40s. I felt a huge wave of relief wash over me. My siblings' lives would not be worsened by my parents' insistence on adding another mouth to feed on an already tight budget. My sister would not be asked to give up her inheritance so they could have money for their new baby. My brother told me my mom had been crying, and while I did feel bad for her, I was still glad to hear about the miscarriage. I feel like we all dodged a huge bullet. Bro asked me to move back in for a while to help comfort my mom. I told him I wasn't going to move in because 1, my college would reopen in a few days, and 2, I'm done with all the family drama. However, I did agree to come visit my mom, if only out of courtesy. In the evening, I went over to my parents' place. I took chocolate chip muffins for my mom, which I know she likes. My sister greeted me at the door and told me mom had been in bed all day. After greeting my dad, I went into their bedroom. Mom was sitting up on the bed. I told her I was sorry about what happened and placed the muffins on the bedside table. She looked at me angrily, then threw the muffins at me. She screamed at me that she had lost her baby because of me. She said I had caused her stress and it's what caused her to miscarry. She said I was probably glad her baby was dead, which is true. But of course I didn't point that out. She called me a witch and said I had wished this upon her. She was screaming so loudly, all my siblings and my dad came rushing to the bedroom. She yelled at me to get out. I did. I hugged my older brother and sister. Before I left, my DD told me my mom was right, that my cruelty caused her to miscarry. I told him that was a grossly unfair accusation and reminded him that at mom's age, it was quite common to miscarry. Then I walked out. I'm so done with my parents and their stupidity. I can only hope they won't try for another kid. Of course they will try for another one, then demand your money as compensation for your having killed the last one. That is a bullshit argument, and you should be ready for it. They've shown you who they are now, and there's no reason not to believe them. Most especially, don't let them know anything about your finances, lest they use that information to calculate the demand that will cause you the most pain if you comply. At first I thought no sane person would do this. Then I remembered they are crazy narcissists who only want what they want. Best thing to do even though harsh, is cut them off. Now you just have to use your witchcraft to make her go through menopause. Deep into menopause. I have a 14+ year age gap with my elder siblings, because my folks thought they were in the clear. Your parents are being ridiculous. Your relatives left you that money for you, not to foster your parents' lack of responsibility. This is beyond frustrating. Some people are so selfish. Bringing kids into the world when you are not financially stable. FFS. Accidental pregnancies happen, but from the OP it doesn't seem like this pregnancy was an accident but planned out. There's a fair chance relatives left that money because of the parents lacking responsibility to set their kids up for success. Your parents just lost 2 children. The baby was never born and they chased off a daughter who's going to be someone. They will probably never realize what they have lost and will never learn. Don't look back. Don't let anyone tug at your heartstrings to mend that bridge because it is gone. Good luck in your future successes. It's time to cut off the breeders, as they have shown you they are not mom and dad. They clearly don't care about the children they already have. Entitled Dad, if you don't want drama at your birthday, I'll make it for you. It was 2019, and my 28th birthday was coming up. To recap how birthdays work in my family. Growing up, birthday parties for the whole family were mandatory, but they were mostly used as an excuse for everyone to tell you that you weren't good enough in exchange for mediocre presents. As such, I stopped having birthday parties the moment I moved out. I actually wanted to celebrate that year, but I knew that if I just had the usual kind of party, there was no way I was going to enjoy any of it, so I came up with a good alternative. I booked some lanes at a bowling alley and made reservations at a nearby restaurant afterwards. I planned to invite my immediate family, my boyfriend and 3 extended family members, parents and their son, because they're usually not as dramatic and petty as the rest of them. Before I had time to send out the invites, my dad, ED, texted me. ED, hey, just so you know, I've taken the whole day off on your birthday, so you can use my house to have your party. Me, oh wow, you didn't have to do that. I'm at work most of the day, and I've actually planned something different this year. I'm sending invitations out in a little bit. ED, oh. Okay, but the offer still stands. I sent out the invitations, he seemed satisfied, and I moved on. The next day, I received more texts. ED, don't you think you should invite your entitled grandparents? Me, no, I don't think they would enjoy bowling, and if I invite them, I'll have to invite entitled uncle, his girlfriend, and their 4 kids, and I can't afford to book the extra lane to accommodate them. Partly true, partly not inviting them because they're the ones who always end up complaining, and they start weird petty drama all the time. ED, I think you should just have the party at my house, that way everyone can come. Me, I'd rather stick to my plan for my birthday, thanks. ED, I already told them we're having the party at my house, so you should probably call your entitled grandparents and tell them that the party is off. Me, you did what? That's incredibly disrespectful of you, and not my problem. I'm not taking the blame for something you did behind my back. I'm having my birthday at the bowling alley with the guests I invited. You can either choose to deal with this yourself and come bowling, or have your own party with whoever you invited. There is no in between, and that's final. ED sent some angry texts afterwards that I didn't reply to. Then he called my mom to have her pressure me into inviting them, to which I could only tell her the same thing I told my dad. There was gonna be drama whether I invited them or not, and I'd rather have a good birthday for once and deal with the bullshit later. I ended up having a really great birthday. Everyone seemed to have a lot of fun, including ED. Even if he seemed a little quiet, we reconciled at a later time, at which he told me that naturally my entitled grandparents and entitled uncle were very mad at me. They never take anything up in person, so I just let them be angry, and nothing else really came from it. Since then, I've been very firm on boundaries with ED, which has resulted in less entitlement. The boundaries are necessary, otherwise you would be stuck with these idiots for the rest of your life. No, Dad, you call them and tell them the party is off. You were the one who invited them to someone else's party, so you deal with it. Asterisk. I use the same rule with weddings, dinners, etc. No1, but the host gets to invite people to events, and the invite must be a direct, NOSHIT invitation, preferably verbally. No third-hand invites, no passing on a text or email, etc. You would be horrified at how many people show up at weddings, etc. uninvited. I'm here with Bob. Did you get an invite? Bob invited me. It's not his wedding, and honestly, I'm not sure Bob is even invited, so sorry, no. It's nice to her that your dad is becoming less entitled, Keep it up and maybe one day he'll be a normal person. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.